What's happening, beautiful people? Jazz trumpeter Bobby Spellman here to welcome you to the 6th episode in our jazz improvisation series. In our last episode, we discussed the 7 modes of the melodic minor scale. In this episode, we're going to change one note of melodic minor to give us the harmonic minor scale and the 7 modes associated with harmonic minor. That will give us almost all of the modes that you will need to know in order to improvise over your favorite jazz standards. And it'll cover a lot of ground in terms of different sounds that you can get playing on different chords. So we're going to have a lot of fun and cover the 7 modes of harmonic minor on this exciting episode of
Theory with Bob.
All right, what is the harmonic minor scale? You have 1, 2, minor third, 4, 5, minor sixth, natural 7, 1 again. What a delightful sound that is. So you have the 1, the 2, the flat 3, the 4, the 5, the flat 6, the natural 7, and back to the 1. Just like melodic minor, by changing one note of the major scale gives us 7 new modes. By changing one note of the melodic minor from the natural 6 to the flat 6, we get 7 new modes. In theory, anytime you change a structure like that, that will give you a series of new modes based on what we might call the parent scale. And if you want to get deep into the weeds on the possibilities of that, you can check out my Lydian Chromatic series if you want to go a little bit outside conventional harmony and get a little wild. But today we're going to be talking in terms of conventional jazz harmony and the 7 modes of the harmonic minor scale. So let's dive in. Not all of these modes are equally used. In fact, the modes of the harmonic minor scale are even more rarely used than some of the modes of the melodic minor scale. But we're going to go through them real quick anyway. First mode gives you harmonic minor. We already talked about that one. That's a scale that you could use on a minor major 7 chord, which would be the 1, minor third, 5th, natural 7. It has a very unique sound to it, so that might be a choice that you would make. Or if you simply have a minor triad as the tonic chord of a minor key, that might be a choice that you would use, the harmonic minor scale, to give it a particular flavor. Now, let's move up. Now we have, starting on the 2nd mode, we have a Locrian with a natural 6. So that's going to be the 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, which gives us the Locrian sound, natural 6, flat 7, and back to the 1 again. This would be a mode that you would use on a minor 7 flat 5 with a natural 6 or a natural 13. So you might call that chord a minor 13 flat 5 chord. So that would give you this sound. I'm going to try playing around with that a little bit. Now that is a very uncommon sound. There are not a lot of instances where you will run into a minor 13 flat 5 chord, but if you do, you'll know what to do. All right, so we're moving up. We're going to get through these pretty quick because these don't come up as often. Next, if you start on E flat in the overall parent scale of C harmonic minor, you will get the E flat Ionian with a sharp 5. So then you get the 1, 2, 3, 4, sharp 5, 6, 7, and back to the 1 again. This is a scale that you might choose to use instead of Lydian augmented on a major 7 sharp 5 chord. Not totally unheard of. That might sound like this. That brings us to the 1, 2, 3, 4th mode of harmonic minor, which we will call the Dorian sharp 4. Now this is a Dorian scale, But instead of the 4, we have a sharp 4. So in the case of this example, we're starting on F, so we get F, the 1, G, the 2, A flat, the minor third, then you have a sharp 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, 1. I love this mode. This is a favorite of mine. Rarely played in jazz. You're not going to run into it that often in the wilds, but you can certainly choose to use it. This would be the kind of chord, the kind of mode, I should say, that you might choose to use if you happen to run into a minor 7 sharp 11 chord, which is very rare. You don't run into those very often, but I do love this sound. So I'm going to play this for you real quick, just for fun, having a good old time here. Now, I sort of discovered this mode. I mined it from the ether way back in the day in order to use in some of my own compositions. And later on, I found out that it is used in traditional Bulgarian music. So there's a classic traditional Bulgarian tune called Gankino Oro that uses this Dorian with a sharp 4 sound. And that sounds like this. And as I mentioned, I've used the Dorian sharp 4 in many of my own compositions. In particular with my Nonet, I have a piece that uses the Dorian sharp 4, and that sounds like this. That's from a tune I wrote called Leaving the Isles of Longer Hands, and you can find that on Spotify. If you'd like, I'll put a link in the description below. So you can check out the possible sounds on a Dorian sharp 4. That being said, I'm just talking about it because I like it, but it's not going to come up that often. Moving on, this is probably the most common mode that you will use based on the harmonic minor scale, the most popular mode, and this is the Phrygian dominant mode. Now you have the 1, flat 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. And that sounds like this. That's a very popular sound. You will probably be familiar with that in many different contexts. If I play it on the trumpet, it's going to sound like this. I love that sound. It is an extremely popular choice on a dominant chord resolving to a minor tonic. So for example, if you are in the key of C minor, one very common choice would be to use the G Phrygian dominant scale on a G7 flat 9 chord resolving to the C minor tonic. We talked about that in our in episode 4 on secondary dominance, so you can check that out. But I would say that the Phrygian dominant scale, which is a flat 9, natural 3, flat 6, flat 7, that's a very popular choice, and I really love that scale. It's one of my favorite scales of all time. All right, so now we are going to close out this section of this video with a couple of lesser played scales. The 6th mode of harmonic minor gives us a Lydian with a sharp 2. Now, I love this sound. You might use this if you had, for example, a major 7 sharp 11 with a sharp 9 on it. That's a fairly uncommon sound, but it is used from time to time. So if you ever run into a a major 7 sharp 11 sharp 9, this would be the choice, and that would sound like this. Beautiful sound. That's an option for you. And that finally brings us to the 7th mode of harmonic minor, which is so uncommon that I had to look up what we'd even call that, and I guess the most common name for it would be altered diminished, but it would be a choice that you could use over a diminished 7th chord. So in this case, if you had a B diminished 7th with the 1 minor 3rd, then the diminished 5th, and the diminished 7th, which is a double flat 7th, you might choose to use this mode of the harmonic minor scale on that particular sound. All right, gang, and that brings us to the end of the harmonic minor modes. Now, as with the melodic minor modes, I will be putting a link in the description to a PDF of this chart so that you can check out the harmonic minor modes based on C harmonic minor for yourself and keep track of all of them. As we go forward, we will discuss some of these modes, in particular the Phrygian dominant mode, which will come up with some frequency. Some of these modes might come up less often, but it is always useful to just understand where these modes are coming from and to understand the relationship of the parent scales to these various different modes based on different structures. So you might choose to use some of these in your improvisations, but as we go forward and discuss different kinds of chord progressions that you're going to run into on your favorite jazz standards, we'll be able to reference these various modes and you'll have a sense for where they're coming from. All right, gang, I hope you enjoyed that video on the harmonic minor modes. If you did, give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. We're going to be continuing on with more discussions on the most common chord progressions that you will find in your favorite jazz standards and different choices that you might make in improvising over those chord progressions. If you're looking for lessons in jazz improvisation or any number of musical instruments, you can find us on our website at www.ridgewoodschoolofmusic.com or send us an email at ridgewoodschoolofmusic@gmail.com and we'll set you up with a great teacher for what you're looking for. All right, gang, have a wonderful time practicing and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.